الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد، مرحبا بكم في هذا اللقاء الطيب المبارك. نلتقي فيه معكم مع الأخ يان من سلوفاكيا. انتقل من المسيحية إلى الإلحاد ثم اعتنق الإسلام ولله الحمد. So, Brother Jan, before we start, thank you for joining us today and for accepting the invitation.
Thank you for inviting me.
Can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. So my name is Jan. I'm 30 years old. I'm from Slovakia, which is a country in Europe. It's a very small country in the middle of Europe. And I became a Muslim 1 year and I'm not sure, a few months ago. So it's been like a year and a half, I would say. And then basically, I currently am an entrepreneur in the software industry. And I don't want to go into much detail about my life. It's pretty boring. So I guess that's, and I have a YouTube channel. So Jan the Slovak Muslim, but that's in a nutshell who I am.
You know, my question is, it's about Slovakia. I think you were born in Slovakia and now you live in Czech. They were one country before 1993, I think. So we see now in Western countries mostly are Christian, but now the traditional Christian values are perishing more and more. And so were you religious and your family were religious before reverting to Islam?
Yeah. So this is my actually last week in Czech. I'm going back to Slovakia, so you caught me in a good time. I'm moving back after 5 years, so I'm very happy. But basically, the situation is that there is no Christianity in Europe. Like this is I would say it's a confusion Muslims have. Like this is some sort of Christian continent. It used to be 100 years ago. It used to be, but go to the church in France or in Slovakia or anywhere. In Slovakia, maybe, yeah. But in these Western countries, you won't find native population. You just find immigrants, maybe from Africa or from some other countries. But the local Europeans don't go to church. They mostly attend weddings, or if you go to a funeral or Christmas. But that's about it. So Christianity, it is part of in the Czech and Slovak. It's Czech are 80 or 70% atheists. So there is no religion here. This is like the biggest atheist country in the world. I think top 3 or top 2. Slovak is like 70% Catholic. 50% Catholic, 20% Orthodox. So it's a much more Christian country where I'm from. And I used to be Christian and brought up Christian, like traditional. But at this stage, it's more like a culture. It's even in my family, people don't really practice, or let's say, like Muslims, sometimes they say they are Muslim, but they don't even pray. So it's the same, like they don't, now Christianity is sort of like, I think there was a census. So they ask how many people are Catholics each 10 years. And we lost like 300,000 people and they are not dead. They just became atheists. So, it's like, it's dropping very quickly. And I think in 10 years, it's going to be like below 50%. And then it's just going to go down. And in all countries, it's kind of going down. So, yeah. But I used to be Christian, but then at the age of 15, I basically stopped believing in God. So I was an atheist from 15 to 28, let's say 13 years.
So you don't believe in those statistics that say that Christians are the majority in the world, because you can say right now you said that there are Christians, but they don't practice at all. Maybe they don't even pray to God or to Jesus. They just go to weddings.
I mean, it's like from everyone. Let's say in my class in school, everyone is Christian technically, but at this stage, when you're old, maybe just one person goes to church from 30 people. So if you have 800 million Europeans, let's say that's a continent, maybe like 10 million are practicing something like this. So like maybe on paper it looks like very big, but no, it's really, it's strange to be Christian here. Like people make fun of you. Like if you go to church, it's strange. You know, it's not something you do, except the wedding or a funeral or something, right? Because those are big things. But normal people don't go to church.
So it's more now the culture than religion.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
So is there any Muslim population there in the mosque between Slovakia and Czech?
No, that's even worse. You know, in Slovakia, Islam is not even recognized as a religion. It's one of the only countries in the world which doesn't recognize Islam. So we can't have a mosque. We can't have schools at all. Nothing, state funding. So very difficult situation. There are some prayer rooms. You can pray like in the country, but it's only 4 in the entire country, 4 rooms to pray. And the room, I mean, just like a room to pray. Not ideal, but that's my project kind of to help out. And in Czech, there's one mosque in Czech, which is officially mosque, but you know, the Muslim population is below 1%. It's like 0.1. So no one cares about Muslims here much. We don't have this immigration here, right? In France or UK, like people don't really know Muslims much here. So we don't even, you know, we don't have this issue like in Western Europe with the Muslim immigration where there's this conflict, but that means also that there's no halal shops. Like a lot of things are missing here. I mean, you can get halal food, it's possible, it's just more difficult, let's say this.
Yes.
How can you get halal food there?
In big cities like Prague, there are like 4 or 5 stores, and I know the butchers, and they have chicken and everything. So you have halal shops. It's just you have to go to the bigger city. So if you live in like a village, you are not gonna get halal. You need to like kill animals on your own or something, you know. So you need to travel to get the meat. So yeah, or you become vegetarian basically.
Yes.
Brother Jan, is there Islamophobia, and can you show up as a Muslim without getting any racism or something like that?
Well, I can show up because I'm white, so I'm fine. Because you know, like people don't know I'm Muslim. Like if I go on the street, I just look like everyone. So I think that's kind of the switch people have to have in their head, that Muslim is not just Arab, but Muslim can be like white or black, and it's a religion for all people. It's not just for Arabs. And this is something people, when they see like someone like them or a woman in hijab, and she's like a white woman, and they ask her, do you speak our language? And she's like, I'm your race, like I'm from your country. You know, they just confuse everything is like Arab. So they view it's strong Islamophobia, very strong, but I never meet it because I don't look Muslim. Maybe if I grow a beard or something, but otherwise, like people, and it's very difficult. Only people who know me, they know I'm Muslim. But I think, yeah, if you are from a Muslim country and you look brown, or you look like you are from the Middle East, people will look at you, but it's kind of okay now. It's not a big problem, let's say. Yeah.
What about the media? You know, in the media, how Muslims are depicted?
What is the
yeah, I think it's I mean, like terrorists, you know. That's kind of when I became Muslim, all my family thought I'm gonna like join ISIS or something, you know, like people think like that's kind of Islam, and that's so crazy, you know, because when I studied Islam for a year and a half before I became Muslim, and I learned about history and I read books and stuff, and I realized like how much brainwashed I was by media from the beginning of my life. And it's not like every day you hear about Islam, but when you hear about Islam, it's always the terrorist attack, because there's something happening, right? So they talk about it in connection. Or I'm actually going to release a video. There's many anti-Islam political parties who like burn the Quran, or they go and do crazy stuff. And then they blame Muslims for reacting. And it's kind of like, well, if I burn your national flag, wouldn't you like be upset about it? Like everyone kind of feels upset if you take whatever you like or believe in and kind of destroy it. Like even if you burn Bible, like I'm sure Christians wouldn't be happy about it. So it's of course, there's also blame for Muslims on one side, because there are these extreme Muslims who did kill people. I mean, this is but there's also like context. You need to realize there's been hundreds of years of invasions and colonial history and killing of people in the Middle East. So of course there's this reaction, and but it's just people don't have this context, and they think like Islam is like backwards, but they don't realize like first university was Islamic. The entire law and international law, and it comes from Islam and Sharia. The notion that you can be innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, that's not the European concept. That's from a hadith. That's a hadith. So just looking at this and teaching people this, it's kind of like, what? Very surprising, you know.
Yes. Actually, Gallup did I don't remember the year that did this voting on 9/11 in the Muslim world. So who was against the 9/11 and who was with 9/11? 93%, I remember something like that, are against 9/11, and 7% are with 9/11, and they are focused on why with 9/11. Mostly are for political reasons, because they are seen as America are invading their home country. So
exactly. Like you have so those 7%, they usually support it because it's like political reason, right? So and in politics it's not much to do with religion. So, and people are oftentimes scared about Islam, but if you realize like Islam was ruling Andalusia for 800 years in Spain, and there are still Christians in Spain. They didn't kill them, or there are still people living there just as they lived before. So, or in India, look at what happened. Islam has been ruling India, Muslims, for what, 600 years, and they didn't kill all Hindus. They are still there, and they are growing. So like when Christians get in power, they wipe, like, I don't know what's my religion like 800 years ago, what Slovaks believe, because it wasn't Christianity. I can tell you that we were pagans, like Vikings. And I don't know where's my original, religion. It's wiped out. It doesn't exist. So, Muslims kind of, they have this concept of dhimmi, right? The protected people. And I mean, this is like history lesson, but it's basically not that crazy to live under Islamic rule. It has happened for many hundreds of years in different contexts around the world. And it's been quite successful in many cases. In some cases, of course, there's empires, clashes, war. This happens, but this is normal. This is nothing new,
It's like in Romania. When I actually read about this, it surprised me. It was under the Ottoman Empire for maybe hundreds of years until the beginning of the 20th century. That's the beginning. They took their independence from Ottoman Empire after the First World War. But in Romania, there is less than maybe 0.5% are Muslims. There is, but it's something like 5,000 or 6,000 Muslims. So mostly are Christians, and they were under Ottoman Empire for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So there is no.
They didn't wipe them out.
Yeah, just like in Bosnia, I just came 3 weeks. I spent in Bosnia. This was under Ottoman Empire, and there are Muslims, Christians, and Jews living in Sarajevo and in all these cities. And then genocide happened because of Christians, like Serbian Orthodox came and genocided Bosnian Muslims 20 years ago only. And this wasn't under caliphate. This was a Christian attack, basically. Well, it wasn't Christian. It was ethnic and nationalistic, but they used Christian symbolism, right? This is always the case. I think nationalism is like more evil than any religion you can think about.
Okay, Brother Jan, can you tell us how it all began? As we know, you were born Christian and you raised in a Christian family. So when and how was the transition from Christianity to atheism to nihilism and then to Islam?
Yeah, I was born upon the fitra, but then they made me Christian. But
that's why you're a revert.
Yeah, exactly. I think transition from Christianity to atheism, there wasn't like a transition because it's very normal for people to just kind of go to church. I wasn't quite understanding the whole Trinity. I believed in God or something like that, but I wasn't really that religious. I don't think anyone in my surrounding was. So like my grandparents were very religious, and they forced us to go to church, and I would be even helping the priest. So I would, you have these altar boys that help the priest, and they attend Sunday masses. So I would be like involved in Bible studies and stuff like that, but I would never like quite understand even like who's God, like what. I wouldn't like some questions I had, they were kind of like over the top of the head of the priests or something. And so it didn't make sense to me. Like at the age of 14, 15, like once you have tough questions, like why do we have to eat the body of Jesus why do we have to do this? Like where did Christmas come from? What is this Easter? Why is it here? Like all these things, like I can just see like, okay, this is clearly man-made. I'm not going to follow some man-made concept, so I'm leaving. And it wasn't like a decision. I just kind of fell apart. So, and then you become an atheist, which most people do. Like this is a typical Western like life. You become like typically Christian, and then you kind of fall apart because the religion is not true. So you will find it. So at some point you will be like, okay, I don't believe in organized religion. All religions are evil because this one I believe in is wrong. Maybe it's nice, it teaches love, but I don't believe in it. So you just kind of adopt the social norm, and the social norm is not believe in anything and just follow science and whatever people do. So essentially you just adopt values from anyone. So like I would be very liberal. I wouldn't have a problem with gay marriage. I wouldn't have a problem with anything because I would be just like, well, why can't they do it? Like always having this liberal mindset of like, if you don't have any religion or any kind of moral guideline, nothing is kind of problem for you until they harm you. And this is kind of a liberal principle, which is found in the early schools of liberalism, in John Locke and all this, where you have this notion that unless you harm someone, that's how you maximize pleasure, maximize happiness. And the purpose of life is to really maximize the most pleasure of your body, because there is no God, there is no afterlife, there is no metaphysical reality. The only thing that exists is this world. So if you live in this world, you're gonna die. What's the point? Just do as much as you can. So enjoy life, go and drink, go to sleep with women, do as much as you can before you die. That's logical because you have expiration date. But most people don't think about this, and they just kind of do this. And everybody's programmed like this. Like, I just want to do this and travel here and do this before I die. It's like, but what then? No one asks, like, what? It's kind of strange thinking, but this is like whole, like everyone thinks like this. Like, so yeah. And this kind of thinking leads to, if you really think about it, because most people just kind of are stuck in this and they just kind of drink, go out, work, and this is kind of normal life. But if you kind of reflect on what you're saying is like, okay, well, if there's really no afterlife, there's no God, there's no purpose to my life, then my life is meaningless. And so what that means is that nothing matters. So if I go and kill someone, it doesn't matter because those are just, there is no morality. This is not wrong or good. It's all a made up concept in my head. So this is typical philosophy. You have Friedrich Nietzsche, who came up with this idea that since God is dead, then basically it's all a social construct. It's all made up. We are just like physical evolutionary molecules walking around. It's a cosmic coincidence that we live on this earth, and it's just, we're gonna die. And like, you will be depressed, but you should really master yourself before you die so that you can leave something for your children. And that's kind of like the highest level of value you can do in the atheistic materialistic world. But really, because you only recognize your body, and pleasure is from money or sex or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of a very sad existence because you don't have any meaning. And it's this nihilism, or I would translate it as like meaninglessness of life. It really creeps on you. And especially if you believe in it, it's kind of very depressing. And it led me to a really dark kind of mindset where I would be several years into this, like, destructive habits. So like, kind of drinking or doing haram stuff, and it wouldn't be nice, for for your mental health. It really is like one step from suicide, because what's the point of life? Why am I waking up? If I just go drink or go to work, why? To have kids? Why? Like, what is the meaning of this? And where did it come from? And no one wants to answer. Like, don't ask these stupid questions. Like, this isn't, no one needs to know this. Like, there's no answer. Okay, well, but that means like, okay, we're all pretending to live here, but like, what's the point? And so it's very depressing. Most people actually, they don't even know they are living in this nihilism. Until you explain it to them, they are like, yeah. Like my friends are like, yeah, my life is meaningless. I'm like, yeah, but it's not actually meaningless. There is meaning to it. And so yeah, that's the atheistic kind of mindset. And then I just kind of was really, I came across a couple of videos, and it really struck me, and sort of, because I thought I'm correct. I thought I'm 100% correct in my mindset. There's no purpose to this life. And then I came across, I don't know, who was it? Some Dawa guys. And it was just like, well, what are the repercussions of this? And do you actually know like how science works and all that? And I kind of started reflecting on it and realized like, oh, wait a second, my entire philosophy is wrong, because I assume many things. I have to go back and really come to my assumptions, like where did the universe begin? Because I think it's Big Bang, but what about the Big Bang? Like, who created Big Bang? Like, I need to really think this through again. And I kind of went back to the cosmology and science and started thinking about these, like, okay, well, how can something come up from nothing? Like, and if it didn't come from nothing, it come from something else, but that something came from something else. Like, what? This is infinity. It doesn't make sense. And so slowly, I started learning this. And yeah, it kind of aligned with Islam, because I listened to a lot of Islamic videos. It wasn't about Islam, but it was about these concepts. And it was coming from Muslims, not Christians or anyone else. And so I naturally then looked into like, what is Islam saying about this? Like, what is the cause of all this stuff? And that's when I learned like Tawheed. And I learned like, okay, who is Allah? And just like, oh man, this is mind-blowing. Like, this is exactly what I was looking for, because it fits perfectly to, it actually aligns perfectly with what I believe in now. So at that stage, you just kind of need to submit. And that took me like a year and a half to study Islam and realize all the things in Islam, because it's a very big subject. You can understand Tawheed, but there's still many things I needed to study. Like, but I just think like it makes sense. It's very easy to understand in terms of theology compared to Christianity or something, right? And so yeah, that's kind of how it went.
So what do you think is the main difference between Christianity and Islam? What the thing that is appealing to you to choose Islam over other religions in general?
But Christianity is not true. Islam is, so that's appealing to me, because I'm looking for the truth. So I'm not looking for feeling good, or I'm not looking for something that will help me feel good. I'm looking for something that is true, objectively speaking, from all angles as I analyze it. So Christianity is obviously not true. And just looking at the authors of the Gospels, it's anonymous. Christmas is not Christmas, the holiday of Jesus, peace be upon him, when he was born. So what? I'm done. There are some truth, but not all of it. So I need to find the real one. So I think it's most reverts come to Islam because they realize it's the only religion which is the truth. Because all the other ones have some form of polytheism, or they have man-made inner interferences, in their theology. So yeah, but I wasn't looking for religion. So this is important. I was just looking for the truth. And that led me to this idea of, okay, there might be a creator. There might be some cause behind all of this existence. And that led me to Islam. So, but that's me. Some people are different. Some people need more maybe emotional things. I don't know. But that was me more kind of like rationally approaching it. But now I kind of, am on a different... in different levels, but that was the beginning for me.
So why Islam in specific? For example, if a person would choose a religion, there are thousands of religion. Why it boils down to Islam, or maybe to the three main religions, which is Islam, Judaism, and Christianity? Why not Hinduism? Why not Buddhism?
Yeah, this is pretty simple, and most people think like just because there are many religions, that means like there is no true religion. Like that's a false comparison. Just because there's many things of something doesn't mean there's not true in one of those things. And so if you just look at the concept of one God, and you look at the science, or not the science, but you look at what intuitively makes sense to human beings. So most people, there's been actually a research done in the University of Oxford that most children are born with the belief in one God, not in multiple gods, in one God. It's always like this. This is fitra, right? But even if you're not Muslim, this has been done on thousands of kids around the world, in Japan, in the UK, everywhere. And they have this natural inclination to believe in one God. So believing in God, now we need to define God, right? Like I'm not meaning Zeus or something like that, because whenever you see some religion which has a concept of God and they mix it up with like God of war, let's say you have Zeus, or I don't know, Mars, or whoever it is in Greek mythology, but that just made him weak, that connection with the with the human, because he now has to sleep, he has to do this is not God, or like this is man-made. Or you see in Hinduism thousands of gods, and this one raped this and this, what, this is all some stories. I don't know where it came from. I know there's one God, they have Brahma, right, which is the source, but still they kind of twisted it and made many other the gods from this one. So it's just, you look at this in Buddhism, there is no God in Buddhism. So, and I was looking for the cause behind the universe, and I know this cause is just one, because if there are two causes behind the universe, then I need to explain both of them, and they can't be explained. So there can be just one, because if you have two things, which one caused the universe? Which doesn't make sense. You always need to go back to just one. And so since I have this mindset of I'm looking for this one thing, so each religion which has any polytheism, I'm going to exclude. Religions which are nice, like Buddhism, but they are not really religions. It's like a way of life. That's nice, but that's not what I'm looking for. Judaism, they have one God, right? But then you look at the entire story of Christian, Judeo, Islamic faith, and you see how it fits into pieces. So you see like how it started, and then Christianity and to Islam, right? And so in Judaism, then I had an issue with the rabbis who can argue with God, and they can win arguments with God, right? Again, how is this possible if you're talking to all knowledgeable being? Like what? How are you going to argue with God and win argument? And then even God actually says, I lost to my creation. Like what? Come on. Maybe there's some part of it that's true, but again, I see a man-made, like church hijacked the religion, the same did the priests. And then in Quran, I can see in surahs where it's written like the priests and the rabbis hijacked the religion, and they made it something else than it was before.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, exactly. This is exactly what happened. The Judaism today is not the one that the Moses, peace be upon him, had, or it's not the same thing. The Torah today is not the same. The Bible is not the same as well, there was no Bible, but the Gospels. And so it just made sense. The Quran plus the preservation and how it kind of was revealed, it made sense to me that this is true. And because Tawhid, right? Like you have just one Allah. So which other religion has this? Like tell me and I will look at it.
Yes.
How did you when was your shahada? So the transition between atheism and when did you proclaim your shahada?
I think it was like a year and 4 or 5 months ago. I'm not sure when, but 2 months before my shahada, I already started practicing Islam. So because I knew it's going to be difficult and I knew I'm going to have to change my life. So it was actually like a New Year's, like end of the year 2020, I think. I basically stopped drinking, stopped doing smoking or anything like that. I started praying. I wasn't praying correctly. I wasn't praying in Sunnah and Al-Fatiha. I just made up my own kind of prayer. But I prayed 5 times a day because I knew I'm gonna have to get used to this schedule. I was very confused with the times. There's many things you go as a reaper you don't understand, but that's okay. And I just kind of had this. I went to the mosque. I met the brothers, and I went to pray with them. Even I wasn't a Muslim, but I just wanted to know: are these people crazy, or am I crazy? Like, what's going on? And I met Algerians, and they are not like they are nice
So loud.
people, But sorry.
They are so loud.
Yes, very loud people. So I was kind of,
Like Moroccans, yeah.
when the first time I went to the mosque here, it's like very dark room, and I went there as a kind of a young guy, and I see like these 6 old Algerian guys with beards looking at me like, who are you? I'm like, subhanAllah, this is like, I'm in some cult or something. And then I realized these are like really nice people. It's just like the way, it's okay, it's just a different culture,
Yeah.
But you just have to go through that fear, like, okay, I'm going to meet someone who I don't have anything in common with them, but I think they shared this faith with me, so let me check it out and see if they are crazy or if they are normal. And now my best friends are Algerian, so it's all good. But yeah, so I started practicing before, and then I did my shahada in it was really, really good. And it wasn't such a big transition then, since I was already preparing for it. I was telling my family like, hey, I'm gonna become Muslim, so you should get ready, it's gonna happen. Because I already knew I'm gonna be a Muslim. I just didn't want to say shahada because I was kind of scared. But then I was just like, okay, it's time. Like, I already live like a Muslim, so now I can just confirm it. Why wait?
Yeah.
Did you have a personal experience that make you think or feel that right now I should become a Muslim? Maybe.
Yeah, well, even like a year before that, I actually knew Islam is true, because I studied it and I listened to a lot of lectures. And then I had this moment where kind of like, there's this moment a revert has where your kind of fitra awakens, or whatever that is, kind of like remembrance of Allah, and you kind of remember like, okay, this makes, like, this is true, Islam is true. But it took me like another 10 months for even recognizing, because I said like, okay, forget about it, I'm not becoming a Muslim, this is insane, I have no Muslim friends, this is not a Muslim country, what am I doing here? I'm not gonna be a Muslim. But then you have this submission, you need to submit, right? Now you know the truth, you just need to submit. So I ignored it, but it comes back, because there's no escape, you will die. So what? I can't ignore this truth forever. So at some point I'm gonna again come to this point, like, okay, now what? So it's inescapable, the reality of life, the reality that you're gonna die. And it's, you either are gonna submit now, or you're gonna wait until you're 60. But at some point you will have to face the reality of death. So I just kind of realized, because in my life I had many kind of death experiences. Let's say I had like a car accident and stuff, and I realized like, I think I can die at any moment, and what am I waiting for? Just because of this, I want to get drunk or something? Like, this is like nothing. This is temporary. So I wasn't sure I'm gonna be able to get rid of all my addictions, because I was addicted to like a lot of things, from substances to like some things on the internet. So I had to give up a lot of things. So that's kind of a big problem, because it's a big transition. But it worked out, alhamdulillah. So
how was the reaction of, alhamdulillah, how was the reaction of your family when you became a Muslim?
No, it was okay. It wasn't that bad. I think I prepared them for it. So now after a year and something, they are on board with it. They even have Qurans. I distribute it in my family. My mom knows what Tawhid is. She's learning. I've developed an online platform in Slovak. It's called Tawhid.sk. So it's for Slovak Muslims to learn about Islam. There's a lot of books translated in Slovak and Slovak, because not many people speak English. So and there's no resources for us. So you need to speak English if you want to learn Islam, which is crazy. So we did like a platform where we did videos with according to 4 madhabs, like how to do wudu, how to pray, just basics for converts, so that when they convert, they can like practice quickly. They don't have this moment of like, well, how do I do wudu? because I learned 7 months how to do wudu and I was still doing it incorrectly. Because there's so much bad information on the internet. Like if you Google how to do wudu, there's Shia website, there's this, like I don't know what Shia is. I don't know what Sunni is. When you become convert, you don't know what this is. So, and so many problems within the Ummah, right? So I'm not even gonna go there, but it's confusing for new people, especially if they don't speak Arabic, they have no friends. So we just build this site so that people can understand and quickly get up to speed. And of course they need to learn on their own, but it should help. So at this point, it's okay. My family's fine, no problems.
So, Jazakallah khairan, Brother Rian. We saw that you visited some Islamic countries. How was your feeling being among Muslim population? And as you said, it's a little bit hard to practice Islam in Slovakia. So, do you think in future about living in a Muslim country?
Yeah, like a hijrah. Well, for now, no, because it is hard, but you have to think about it. Like when you look at the Prophet's life, you have the Meccan period and you have the Medina. So I feel like I'm in the Meccan period now here. Everything is against us. And it's kind of good. I like this because it gives me purpose and mission to educate people, do dawah. And, this thing I wouldn't have in a Muslim country. So I think this thing, like, who else is going to give Islam to Slovaks? Like, there's not many Muslims. And I'm the only guy who puts face publicly and says I'm a Muslim on YouTube in Slovak language. Everyone else is scared because of secret police. They monitor you. Everything is tracked. So, like, who wants to risk this? I'm lucky because I have my own businesses, so I don't depend on employee or anything like that. So I can go out and say my opinion without fearing that something's going to happen because I don't have any political ambition. I don't have any problems like that, right? So I'm not a criminal, so I'm okay. So I think it's important that I can at least help the Slovak people or Czech people as well with some dawah, because it doesn't exist, and it's kind of this is the prophet, the Sahaba way, how they did it when they went to a new country. You take like local, you convert the local population, and they help to convert the rest because you are foreign. You will never convert Slovak or Czech or Algerians. This is not going to happen here. So it has to come from a local. And I think Islam is for Europeans as well. It's not just for Asians, like in Indonesia, where it's growing. It's also for Europeans. It's just we have bad history. There's a clash of civilizations between Europe and Islam. Naturally, this is the history. But still, Islam is true. It doesn't change the fact that Islam is true. So it just has to be presented in a different way. And people are visual creatures. So if I look at someone who looks like me, speak the same language, and they don't look like a terrorist or something like that, they think like, okay, I'm going to listen to this guy. And yeah, if you can clarify many things, because most Islamophobia comes from misinformation. Yes, most Islamophobia is about like, I'm going to release a video from this Denmark guy who's burning the Qurans, and he's like saying things which are outrageous, like a simple, like, I don't know, if he talked to a Danish convert, he would explain everything, but they don't exist, or there's very little. So these people need to step up who are converts and who are in native non-Muslim lands. But when I was in a Muslim country, in Turkey and in Bosnia, I love it. I would, it's amazing. Yes. But after a few days, I start feeling like it's not my nation, not my religion is good, but my nation is not. It's not the same culture. I have these other. It's not just about your deen. So for deen, it's better, but for your life, it kind of is worse at some point. Yes. Because you don't belong there. You kind of feel like you don't belong there. So, but I would, we'll see what happens. If I get kicked out of my country after a few years, I'll do some hijrah, and
inshallah you won't kick
welcome to Morocco.
Yeah, inshallah.
Okay, I just want to say a joke. You say you are the only
no joke here.
You are the only Muslim that speaks publicly in Slovakia. That's why you are young.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there are some other who write books and stuff, but not on a video. It's kind of not.
Yes.
Because you get a lot of hate comments. Sorry?
And how about your feeling when you visited Turkey and Bosnia, being among Muslim population?
Yeah, especially Bosnia is amazing because they are Slavs, so they are ethnically the same group as I am, and I can understand their language. So it was amazing to read the Quran in their language, and I could understand. And just seeing the people who, because in Turkey, you know, with Turks we have bad history as well. But it was, I love Turkey. I love Istanbul. I'm going back to Istanbul in 3 months, inshallah, and I'm taking the parents of my wife to see Hagia Sophia and everything like that. But in Bosnia, it was kind of different because those people are like Slavs. They are the same, and we have the same food and everything. It was amazing, you know, to witness like, oh, this Islam has been in Europe for a long time, and it's been even in the Eastern Europe and Slavic lands for a long time. It's not something strange, and it's amazing. Sarajevo and Bosnia, it's beautiful. It's just unfortunately politically and it's an unfortunate situation. They had the genocide and the war, and it's what happened there. It's like I've never seen worse war crimes. Like even Nazi Germany did what they did to Bosnians, the Serbs, in the concentration camps. Like when I visited this, you know, we had a tour of the torture and stuff. It's beyond evil. So I'm just amazed like how this can happen like 20 years ago. It wasn't like 1,000 years ago, 20 years ago. But you know, but Turkey is amazing. I love Turkey. I would move to Turkey any day. Like there's so many things in Turkey. You can have mountains, you have the sea, you have amazing weather, you have everywhere mosque on every corner. When I heard the Adhan for the first time, I was like amazed, you know, because here I only see Islam online. So I was like, is this a real religion? Like, because like, I know I don't mean Muslims. You know, there's not much things here that are Muslim. And then I go to Turkey and I see like La ilaha illallah on the mosque and like and so like subhanallah, nice. This is not this is real, you know. So it was really very nice, you know, very nice. Yeah.
Are you planning to go to Umrah, inshallah? Or Hajj?
Inshallah, maybe next year. Hajj, I don't know. But Umrah, I would like to go next year. I want to ask a few friends who we can get together and go together because I don't want to go alone. But we'll see.
I have a question about you know, about sheikhs that you know, focusing on you know, the rules and fiqh rather than the tawheed. I remember you discussed something in a podcast. This you know,
Brother Angel.
Angel.
From the three Muslims.
Yeah. So the question is, what about the sheikhs who focus on the rulings rather than on tawheed? I think it's just maybe they're speaking to the different audience, you know. So it's we need that. I think it's very important because, for example, we have a big problem in our community with you know, the Quranists, you know, this sect.
Yeah.
So they kind of, there's a few converts and they run the Facebook groups and they present Islam as like, subhanAllah, if you saw like the Quran is the main Islam, and then you have Sunnah sect and Shia, and like they assume it's the same, you know, like what, like Quran and Sunnah it is together, but okay, they completely disregard Sunnah and Hadith, you know, like what? So this is important that these sheikhs exist, and we need it. But I just think like from my travels and from what I'm seeing in the world, most Muslims don't pray. Most Muslims who identify as Muslim in Turkey or in Bosnia, they don't live a Muslim lifestyle. They have girlfriends, boyfriends, they drink, but they say they're Muslim. So clearly they don't understand the basics, and the basics is Tawheed. It's not the ruling. The ruling comes later. So I think there needs to be like a reformation, not in a Christian sense, but like reformation to come back to the Quran and Sunnah and start explaining the basics, because that's how I got it to the basics. So I'm sticking to the Quran and Sunnah. I'm not a particular madhab, but I try to follow, let's say, the consensus of the scholars. Anytime I have a problem, I'm not trying to find my own head in my solution, what suits me, but I try to ask like, okay, well, what's the consensus of this issue and stuff like that. But I think it's important to remove yourself from this and trust the ulama. But this is kind of a high level then. But for people, they need to go back to the Tawheed, I think. And this is missing, you know, and I think it's a missed opportunity because we're doing dawah to non-Muslims. What? There's 90% of Muslims who need dawah as well. Like some are doing shirk, some are praying to the Prophet Muhammad, some are praying to, you know, like what is this? You know, I was very surprised when I found out, when I learned, like, you know, like the point of the, when I read the Quran, it's clear. But when I look at what some Muslim sects were doing, I'm like, what are they doing? They are following some sheikh or something, but they are forgetting completely about the Quran and Sunnah. Like, strange stuff. But I guess it's over the years, you know, you have different Islamic history. I didn't know anything about Islamic history, about the Sufis and this and that, Shia, how did that happen? So I had to learn, like, okay, Islam is not the same as I'm being taught Islam, because I'm being taught the authentic version. I'm studying the life of the Prophet. I'm not studying a madhab. I'm studying like what happened, and based on authentic sources, authentic hadiths. And that's what I'm going with. I'm not gonna go with any sect or anything like that. It's very confusing for a convert, by the way.
Okay, so just I want to say about the madhab. The idea of madhab, it's not a sect. It's just, you know, an understanding of the Quran and Hadith. So
yeah, exactly. So it's not it's still a Sunni Islam under 4 madhabs. Yes. So you can pick and choose, basically, usually based on the region, which I don't have. So I can just adopt some madhab. Yeah, yeah, and it's all good. So yeah, but I mean, like the other things, you know, besides the madhabs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you study right now with a sheikh or just?
No, at this point, you know, I had a kind of a period of a busy time, so I wasn't really studying much. But I'm reading books. I'm learning Arabic, like just reading it. Because for anything deeper, if I, let's say, want to do a degree in Islamic studies or in Hadith science, I need Arabic, and I don't know even how to read letters, and it's very difficult for me. So I'm like a child, you know, learning to walk, and because I want to learn, like, for example, how they grade Hadiths. I want to learn that process because it's fascinating to me how they do the authentication. Because even if it's something is in Sahih Bukhari, there's still some room for let's say, there's still some room for, what do you say, interpretation. Like, still there are differences of opinion on some hadiths. Yes, and it's really complex. Like, this is a complex science that people study their entire life. Yeah. Just verifying the chains and everything. It's really amazing how it came from who, you know. I like that. So because some people reject hadiths, they just don't understand the science behind this. I think it's important to have hadith scientists, let's say, who can verify or clarify how this is done.
But by the way, brother Jan, you said that you are studying Arabic. Do you know Gabriel Al-Romani? He's, you know him? He said
I had a podcast with Gabriel. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I didn't see it. Inshallah, I will. In your channel or in his channel?
On my channel, yeah.
On your channel, okay. He said. Learning Arabic. He said when he became a revert, he started studying Arabic using, you know, that Rosetta Stone.
Yeah. I know what his advice about this. So, but I also, it's important to just understand the letters quickly. So, like, you need to memorize quickly the letters, and there are different not dialects, but there's different ways how you can write. For example, you have Ain, and then you can write it like this. You can write it differently, like based on where it is in the sentence. This doesn't exist in my language, so this is something new. Like, there's one letter written like 15 times differently, you know, like what? It's kind of complex. So that's why I just want to remember how these words are, and I'm practicing to memorize this, so that when I look at something, I can be like dal, nam. I just slowly put it together and say, like, this is a word. I don't know the meaning, but at least I can read it. So I can read the Quran in Arabic, right? Because then how to do this? Yeah.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Brother Ian, as a Muslim in the West, basically I'm living in Belgium. I was living in France for 2 years, I think.
Racist.
Huh?
I just said racist France. Okay, go.
Okay. So in Belgium, alhamdulillah, there is a lot of mosques. You can practice Islam as you want, maybe, but there is a specific things that I don't like you cannot raise your children as you want. So, as a Muslim in the West, what do you think about future of Islam in the West in general?
Are you from Brussels?
From where?
Brussels?
No, I'm near of Antwerpen. Not
Because
actually.
I don't know if you saw, I was in Brussels and I did a documentary about the Belgian Muslims.
Sorry, I didn't saw that.
And it's and there were two Moroccan guys with me giving me guide in Brussels, and they showed me everything, even the terrorist attack that happened in the metro station.
Yes.
And we went to Molenbeek, which is like this, let's say, jihad street, but it doesn't. It's okay. And it was amazing. So if you have some time, check it out. But I know the situation in Belgium. I know how it works from what the Moroccan guys told me and how I saw the Muslims.
Exactly.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal. Even in Brussels, they can't pray everywhere. Most people pray at home, like they don't pray in the mosque. And but there are Muslim neighborhoods. Situation in Europe moving forward, I think it's not good. That's my opinion. Looking at the because you have this problem. You have this, like in Denmark, in Sweden, in Belgium, or somewhere. You have a large immigrant population, and then you have this native population who feels threatened by it. We don't have this problem where I am, but you have it because we don't have Muslims here. So, but I think it's a big question. It's like, I don't know what's the future, because there are these anti-Islamic parties, and you can see in France there's the elections with the Le Pen, and like in Denmark there was a speech, and one of the politicians even said we should just kill the Muslims, like in openly as a free speech, like, and people were clapping. We should just get rid of them. Like after 1945, we did the same. Like we should just do this. Like what's the problem? So like I don't think it's good, because Muslims, mostly it's immigrants, mostly they do low wage jobs. Some of them are criminals. So like this is not good from our perspective as Muslims. Sometimes they sell drugs in Germany. Like what is this? But I understand they live in like poor neighborhoods. Sometimes when the children grow up from these immigrant parents, they are not like, they are in this, like, let's say, poor conditions, and they leave Islam, but still people view them as Muslims, and they commit some crime. But I think that's a very minority. Most Muslims are normal people. I just think that it's like weird. I don't know what's the solution. I was in Berlin in a Kreuzberg neighborhood, which is like a Muslim neighborhood in Berlin, like hundreds of thousands of Muslims, and they live together with like Germans there, and it kind of works. But I don't know how it could work long term, because essentially Muslims have too many babies, and the population grows over time, and they don't want to change. They don't want to secularize, most of them. And then you have this native population, which population is dropping. So they feel afraid. They feel like threatened that their values, their system of life, which is drinking and partying and doing many things, it's threatened by the Muslims. So I think it's just about education, but I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think it's good.
Inshallah.
I don't know.
Inshallah.
We need. So I think what can happen is like people like from Belgian people embrace Islam. Like that can change people's mind. Like the guy, I had a podcast with a Dutch politician, Joran van Klaveren.
Yeah, I know.
He used to be he was a member of the People's Party, which is like this anti-Islam party in the Netherlands. And they would like be there in like coalition with Marine Le Pen and stuff like that. And he was very anti-Islam. And then he started writing a book about Islam and how it's evil, and he became a Muslim. And then now he's like outside of the parliament campaigning for Islam, doing many things, and he's an amazing guy. And so it's like, if that can happen to the most anti-Islamic politician, the biggest, he's in the parliament. It's not like some random guy. This guy is like real. He becomes a Muslim, and he has a radio show against Islam, and he has to say on the radio show that he's a Muslim. Imagine this, like, so funny. Like this can happen because, again, Islam is true. People just have to uncloud their judgment, So, and I think it mostly can be done by the converts or people like here, because this is the fact. Most immigrants who come here, most of my friends, they don't interact with local population. They don't explain things to them. So then, of course, they think what they think because they don't have the information. So it's a problem, you know. And if you separate yourself from this population, then they're gonna look at you like, this is weird. These guys are strange.
Yes.
So, you know, like I separate myself from, let's say we have an office with 80 people. I don't go to drinking. I don't go to do Christmas or something like that. But they know, like I told the management, like I'm a Muslim, so I don't do this. But otherwise, I go with them. I go to play football. It's fine. Or I go and do like other things. I just don't participate in these things, you know. And if I explain it why, it's pretty simple. It's forbidden to drink alcohol. Like, what should I do here? So,
my last question is, do you give da'wah to your relatives, and how do they respond? Are they even interested in religious discussions, or the meaning of life in general?
yeah, I try to speak about it. It is kind of, it depends on the person. Everybody's different. So like my grandparents are very old and they are kind of before dying. So, you know, they are kind of interested in it. And they even, my grandfather even understands like Jesus is not God. He read the Quran. He's reading like 100 pages before he goes to sleep. But he's just like, I'm still going to be Christian. So it's like, okay, but can I explain? So it's like, it's work, you know, it's long-term dawah. You can't just do dawah like on the street. I don't think that works. I think those videos online who do like shahada on the street, I think that's fake, because I would never do that. Like if I have to change my religion, I need to know this, at least some basics, you know, before jumping into it. So those the same with them. But it's getting better, you know, they understand Islam. Now they understand what Islam is. So if they interact with someone who says like, oh, Muslims are evil, they can say, hey, my son is a Muslim and he's doing evil. Well. So what? You know, they can at least defend Islam as a non-Muslim. It's okay as well. At least they have the understanding, because the guidance is from Allah. It's not from me. You know, I can like, just share the message. At least they understand it. And then it's up to them to decide.
Okay. So, Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan.
See you soon, inshallah. And
Jazakallah khair as well.
do you have any last words?
Yeah, thank you for the podcast. And if you want to check how Muslims live in Slovakia or how I travel and stuff, check the Slovak Muslim on YouTube. Jan the Slovak Muslim.
And do you have any message to Muslims, to the Arab audience, or you know, to Muslims in general?
Yeah,
especially in
message to the Middle East: come back to the Quran and Sunnah, and revise your understanding of Islam, because we can have beautiful mosques, but if they're empty or full of people of bid'ah or something, what's the point of that? You know, just like go back to the original message, and I think that's gonna be good.
Yes, inshallah. And how about supporting the reverts, and because I feel that there is a disconnection between the East and the West, especially when it comes to new Muslims and new Muslim reverts.
I think so, but I think that's the job of the reverts, to educate reverts, because Muslims, they can help with the Quran recitation and stuff like that, of course, because of the Arabic language. But I think most of the help for reverts should be done by other reverts, because they can sympathize with their condition more, and they can help them, especially if they're local, you know. So I don't think that's a job of a Muslim country, people from some Middle East country to help Slovak people. I don't think that's relevant. I think only about education and like ulama and like ruling wise, yes. But just general life, I think that should come from like locals, yeah.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, brother Jan. See you inshallah in part 2, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Jazakumullah khair. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.